this is Noreen from Joya Cards, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Yay! For more of my Stampin' Up! Card videos, please click that subscribe button and the little bell, and you'll be notified when my videos release. Anyway, now let's go make a card. Hello everybody! Today's card, we're going to make this really cute little Peaceful Deer blending card, and we're going to use, of course, Peaceful Deer and the punch. And I'm going to fill in with the trees from Evergreen Elegance. I'm going to create the mound here with Inspiring Canopy, just this die right here, and rectangle stitched frames. So let's get started. The base of the card is going to be in basic black, 5.5 by 4.25. Then we're going to take a piece of red foil, also 5.5 by 4.25. Black glitter. We're going to cut this 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and shimmery white in 5.25 by 4. Now all the dimensions are in the description of my video. Just go to the description, click the little down arrow or the show more, and I'll have everything that I use listed in all the dimensions so you don't have to frantically write down. So this is for the outside. So let's go ahead and start with the red foil. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the largest rectangle stitched frame. Now the reason why I'm cutting this is because that's a lot of foil to waste for being under a card. Plus I went ahead and took the foil and I used it on the inside. And we're going to do that with the black glitter as well and use that piece. So we're not wasting anything. So go ahead and grab the bottom plate of your die cutter and look at my beautiful plate here. And because it doesn't matter, it's the bottom plate. And I'm going to take a piece of my delicate frog tape, because I like using the delicate frog tape. And I'm going to tape this in the center, because I really want to preserve the, the outside for the front of the card. So I'm going to cut this out and I'll be right back. So I've cut that piece, and go ahead and remove your tape here and try to make sure that your top plate is not all scratched up so it doesn't scratch on the foil. So that's the red part. I'm going to take my black glitter and I'm going to take the third largest rectangle stitched frame, and I think I misspoke. I think I said this was the largest. This is the second largest for the red foil. So there's the largest, don't use that one. The second is for the red foil, and the third is for the black glitter. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. And while you're using your rectangle stitched frames, take a piece of shimmery white. Now we're going to be doing some blending on the front, and this is also in shimmery white, and I'm using shimmery white here as well. So go ahead and take a piece of scratch and take your fourth largest rectangle stitch frame and cut another rectangle in shimmery white. Now that you've got these rectangles cut out from your front pieces, I'm going to go ahead and do the inside first. So we're just going to take some memento, and we're going to be using Merry Christmas from Peaceful Deers right there. And we're just going to stamp this up in memento. If you notice, I'm using a stamping pad because this is a clear stamp. And I'm going to be putting it off center here on the left toward the top. And here we go. Now I'm going to make the deer, and the deer I've actually die cut. So what we're going to do is grab another piece of shimmery white, just scratch paper, and let's ink this up in memento again. Make sure you're using some kind of stamping pad. And all the, like I said, all the items, Stampin' Up! Items I'm using is in the description of the video. You can go click down and see what I've used. Or if you want to place an order, just click on the link. It'll go right to my site. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to stamp the deer right here, like so. Now I went ahead and I cut the deer away from the rest of the paper, but I left it kind of big like this. And I'm going to take my light and dark crumb cake and color the deer in. So the first one I'm going to take is the light crumb cake, and I'm using the finer end, the pointy end, whatever it is, and I'm going to go ahead and fill in her entire body except the ears. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. I'm going to grab the dark crumb cake, and I'm going to do some shading. So I'm going to take the leg that's tucked behind here and color this in the dark crumb cake here. And I'm also going to take this leg that's behind and color that one. And then I'm just going to do some edging. So I'm going to do like her front here, around her belly, in the back side, and her back, down around here and up here. And then I'm going to take the light again and just kind of give her a second layer of light everywhere. They don't really blend, but if you layer them, you can kind of get a blending effect. So I'm going to go ahead and give her another layer of light. I'm going to grab some dark petal pink and do the inside of her ears, maybe the end of her tail here. No, I don't think it shows up on the tail so much. So that's how I colored the deer. Now I'm going to use the post-it note trick. I'm going to just stick a post-it note on the end here and put it into my punch. And I'm going to line it up. When you line it up, once you get a good spot, hold it down halfway to kind of make your fine adjustments. And then go ahead and punch like so. Now let's start putting together the inside. So go ahead and snail up your red foil first and place it in the middle. And then the black glitter and place that in the middle. And these were the pieces from the front. And then let's do our shimmery white and place that in the middle like so. Now we need to get the deer on and her antlers. So the best thing to do is stamp the antlers first. So the antlers are right here, and go ahead and kind of figure out where you're going to be placing her and where the antlers should go. So I know I'm going to put the antlers about right there. So I got my antlers up on my B block, and I'm going to stamp them right there like so. Now we can go ahead and put in the deer, and it'll be just like that. So that is the inside of the card. Let's do the front. Let's do the easy part first. Let's go ahead and put these on that we cut earlier. So I'm going to put my red foil and just snail her up like so. And we're going to match this to the opening just like this. Once you've got the red foil on, let's do the black glitter and snail it up and put that on in the middle like so. And this is what it should look like. Now let's get to the blending. So before we start blending, I want to show you a few things. If you look at this card, the inside the deer says, "Oh, what fun." And you want to be able to see that it says something in the middle of the deer. And as we blend, kind of keep in mind where that deer is going to go, because we kind of want it to be light right here. Because I did this one and I had it way too dark under that deer, and you totally missed it. It says something. So you got to make sure that this is going to be light right here. And then also, I'm not going to do any masking. And the reason for that is, first of all, if you take the punch and you just make a mask out of the punch, what's going to happen is you're going to have that. You're going to have that white halo around the deer, and you don't want that. So the other thing you can do is mask it. So I fussy cut it. Actually, I used my brother's Canon cut, and I made a true mask. And what happens is that it's not as clean as this one is, because I do have to, because a mask isn't going to be 100% perfect. And when you've got a dark background, you're going to have to take a blending pen or something and kind of fill it in. So it's not as crisp as this one. Also, it's going to be white underneath. And I thought the white didn't look as good as if it was that lighter blue behind it. So we are not going to mask. We are just going to start to blend. Keep in mind that this area here, we want in the lighter colors. Now I've got two sets of inks here. I've got lights, and then I'm going to have another set of darks. My lights are going to be Balmy Blue, Just Jade, Coastal Cabana, and Bermuda Bay. And guess what? I'm going to break my own rule, and I'm going to use one blending brush, because once you really get it on the paper and get it off, if you dip it into something else, it's probably not going to transfer too much. So, but let's go ahead and we're going to start with the balmy blue. Of course, you hold your blending brush like that. These blending brushes are on the description of my video. So if you want to know what the part number is, or if you want to place an order, you can go ahead and just click on it and place an order. And then I'm stamping off like that, and you want to circle in. If you're new to blending, that's like super important. You need to stamp off and circle in. And I'm going to cover the whole piece here. Even though this is going to be black, it's okay to go ahead and circle in. Also, another trick, since I'm going to be doing a lot of blending, is take a Post-it note, put the sticky on your finger, and hold it down like this so you don't get like fingerprints or stuff like that on it. So that is my balmy blue, and it's pretty much almost off my brush here. And I'm going to tap it right into my Just Jade. I know that it seems wrong. It's so naughty, but I'm doing it. It's okay. It'll be fine. Stamp off. And of course, I've got a piece of scratch paper under here. Definitely grab your scratch paper. And then now I'm going to go into Coastal Cabana, stamp it off, and I'm going to circle it in as well. I like using a lot of colors. I think it makes everything more interesting. And now Bermuda Bay. And I might concentrate Bermuda Bay darker in some places than others. So I've got my couple of dark spots here. So I'm dark, 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 and a little light on the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and keep my Bermuda Bay out and my Coastal Cabana for the moment. Now I'm going to go in for my darks. So I'm going to have Night of Navy, Misty Moonlight, and Pacific Point. And I switched my blending brush. So these are for the light colors, these are for the dark colors. And yeah, I'm going to use the same brush again. I'm going to be naughty. Okay, so I'm going to go into Pacific Point. And this is a really dark color, so make sure you stamp off, you circle in, you go in light. And depending on how well inked your Stampin' pad is, will determine how much ink will come on your brush. So I kind of keep my Stampin' pads a little on the light side because I do a lot of blending. So you might have more ink on yours. So I've got a Pacific Point. Now I'm going to go into Misty Moonlight. I'm going to do the same thing. Now mind you, keep that area where you're going to have the deer a little lighter. Not too light, but lighter. So I'm going to go in with my Misty Moonlight, and I'm going to go harder in places and real soft, like this center part, going real soft. And I'm doing the whole thing, even though I do have this black border, I'm going to keep that light. And now I will go over it, but just very lightly. Let's go into our Night of Navy, stamp off. And I'm going to give it darker places, just kind of not completely blended and even, but I have definitely some darker places. Now, I left the lighter ones open for a reason, because I am going to go back in and put some more light in here. So, like right here, maybe in the middle here, where my deer is going to be, and then give it a brush all over, and this will give it that hue of different colors. Now, I'm using Coastal Cabana now. Now I'm going into Bermuda Bay. I think Bermuda Bay is really the key one, because it gives a lot more. I'm going to cover that light spot a little bit. A lot more color. Now, this is the part where you can determine how dark you want your sky. Now, this is pretty blue, so I'm going to go back and do some more blue. But as I was doing these, you can tell that they're going to be a little different every time you do it. You can't totally mimic one after the other. But I'm going to go back into my Night of Navy. And I'm going to kind of take it where I want it to go. Go in the Misty Moonlight. And this is all just your call and your judgment of how light and how dark. Sometimes I'll go back into my Bermuda Bay. Give it some more coloring. I'm going to go over that light spot. Okay, now into Pacific Point. And just play with your colors. The more dark, obviously, is going to be more dark. So keep that in mind. I do like my edges generally darker, so I'm going to hit my edges here in that navy. Now, I do want to point something out that's really important. When you use the sticky method with the Post-it note, make sure you don't, like as you're doing this, go over the edge, because what you will do, because I started the video and I accidentally went over the edge, is you're going to create that. Avoid doing that line. I don't know if you can see it. So be careful where your Post-it note is and make an adjustment to that. And then I'm going to get some Pacific Point. And I'm going to go back to that Bermuda Bay. And I'm going to hit it pretty hard. I'm pushing down really hard right now. And maybe back into the Costa Cabana. Okay. And then I think that's about it. I don't want to get too much more dark on it. Lighten it up. Okay. And I think that'll do for now. I'm going to make this little mound here, and I'm going to take Inspiring Canopy, and they have this little die here, and I love doing this for landscapes because it's like a great line. And I'm going to put it like, I'm going to put the higher point on the right where the deer is going to be, and I'm just going to give it just a little bit. Now, mind you, this is a 4 by 5 1/4, so make sure it's not at this point, if you didn't cut this down, you need to definitely make sure that it is, because we're going to be doing some stars and it'll mess up everything. So I'm going to go ahead and put down this die with a little bit of tape just on that one side. And then I'm going to get the Stampin' Right black marker. This is the only marker they sell individually out of all the Stampin' Rights. Even if you're a demonstrator, and I have lots of demonstrator subscribers, welcome, welcome, welcome. And you can win a demo card. Oh, I didn't even mention this. I do give away my demo cards. If you're a first-time subscriber, like, subscribe, and you might win one of the demo cards. I only give away 2. So, but if you're a demonstrator, I would get the whole set of Stampin' Rights. I really, really love the Stampin' Rights, even a little more than the blending pens. But this is the only one. The black one is the only one you can buy individually. It's $4. I use it all the time. It's a fantastic pen. I would definitely get one of these if you're a demonstrator or a hobbyist or whatever. So anyway, I'm going to take the pointy end, and this is why I like the Stampin' Rights. It actually has like a pointy end. So I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to mark a line here, and that's all I use it for. So that's what I'm going to do with this die. Now I'm going to take the other end of the Stampin' Right, and I'm going to just follow the line here. Now you could do this totally freestyle. I just like using the die because I know exactly where I'm gonna what it's gonna look like. If I do it freestyle, I might do something goofy, and since we went through all this blending, it'd be pretty tragic if you had to like do it over again because you made a terrible line. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill in as evenly as possible in black. So I'm going to do that or finish this up, and I'll be back. Now you're going to take this deer here that says, "Oh, what fun." Put your case underneath your plate for your Stamparatus, and I'm using the Stamparatus because I want it to be as black as possible. If I can use a block, but if I don't, hit it right the first time, then, it's over. So I'm going to go ahead and position this on my Stamparatus where I want it. So right there, I'm going to close this up and bring it forward, and I'm going to take my Memento and stamp her up and see what happens on the first shot here. Okay, I'm going to get a little darker. And there you go. So I am going to make a mask, and it's only because we're going to put these stars on now. So just take a piece of paper, it doesn't matter what it is, and punch out a mask. And I'm using the teal Tombow. This is the one that's really good for masking. I use it all the time because even when a little bit of glue residue's on there, it rubs right off. But you do have to hold it down a little bit if you're rubbing up against it because it will move. So go ahead and mask up your deer. Now we're going to make the stars. So I'm going to take my Whisper White refill. This is kind of hidden in the catalog a little bit. Go ahead and go to my description. You can click on the link and it'll take you right to my page. So I just put in a drop or so, and I've been using this, so I didn't need a lot. And then I'm going to take the water painter here. This is the one that has the big wide one on it. So I'm using the wide one, and it's full of water. And I'm going to put like a drop or so on top of that paint and get a good mixture. And if you want to experiment first, just, you know, before you do it on here, just take a piece of dark paper and try this and make sure you got a good amount of water or not too much water in it. So I've got it all kind of done up here. Now I wasn't worried about the dark on the bottom because I could cover that up with more ink, but I'm going to just kind of hold it over here. So most of it is going to go on the top anyway. So go ahead and take your bone folder here and the brush and tap it. You can see why I covered the deer. I took off a little bit of the water because it was just a little too wet. And there you go. Now, I did get a little bit on the black here because I was not paying attention. So I'm just going to take my marker and just go over it. Now, this ink is not water-based ink. So it's going to take a bit to dry. So you're going to want to kind of leave it alone or get your heat gun on it for a bit and let it dry. And I have not taken off the mask. I'm also going to take your pick tool, and I'm going to go on one of the bigger splotches here because it was a little too wet. And I'm going to make some shooting stars. So just take that, and I'll take this one here because this one's big. And I made a couple of shooting stars. So there you go. So I am going to take my heat gun to the stars here because I did get a little bit too much water on my brush. So, and this is why maybe if you haven't done it before, test it out on a piece of paper before you fling it on your project here. So I'm just going to heat gun it a little bit, kind of speed up the drying process. But I am going to leave this alone for a little bit, and we'll be back. Now let's go ahead and get our trees on. So I'm going to grab this tree here, and this is the medium tree from Evergreen Elegance. So I'm using this tree and this tree here, and we're going to be using Memento again. And I'm going to stamp this up. And I know it's the orange stamps and you don't need a stamping pad, but sometimes I really think some stamps kind of need it. So, and since I have like one shot on this, I'm going to use a stamping pad. So there's the first tree. And now I'm going to go ahead and use, whoopsies, the second tree. And I'm going to give it a little space in between and put it right here. Now you can go back to your stamping right here. And if there are any of those stars that fall on the tree, go ahead and give them a little cover up. Or if you miss, like I missed the landscape, I don't know how I did that. You can just fill it in like so. And now just a little finishing touch. I'm taking my real red rhinestone and I'm going to put one on top of the tree. Last thing, we got to make this a antlered deer. So we're going to go ahead and put the antlers on. I'm going to stick my head in. Sorry. Yeah, I've got big old red head there. And put that on. If you happen to miss the head just a little bit, take that Stampin' Right marker and just go boink and boom, they're attached. Now all that's left is going ahead and putting it on the card. Another good reason to put take out the middle part of your black glitter is because glitter doesn't like to be taped on anything. So it really kind of resists it. So go ahead and put a bunch of snail on the middle there. And I'm not putting it on this piece because my stars haven't quite cured yet. So if I flip it upside down, they're going to smear. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on like so. And that's the card. So please like and subscribe. I love my subscribers. I love demonstrator subscribers. Come on in, case me up. I don't care. But I do give away the demo card. So if you're a first-time subscriber, like and subscribe, and you could win the demo card. Just make sure you put your email in your comment so I can send you the card. Or if you're comfortable enough, put your address and I'll just mail it to you. So that'll do it for me. Thanks.